this is a map we haven't seen as much of in recent times here, Bren. We are bringing it to Hanamura, home of the Shimadas.
Absolutely. Hanamura, an absolute classic map. It's one of my favorite Assault maps, I think, in terms of sort of the way it's actually played out as well these days, because there's a lot of approaches you can take towards the second point, attacking as well as the defending side. You can see some interesting compositions coming out.
You can, and the trouble for teams is figuring out how to get in onto the final point, where, unlike a map like Horizon, is that it's not quite as advantageous for the attackers. The defenders have a lot of tricks up their sleeve, and what we might be seeing is teams coming out with really good defensive strategies that take advantage of both the terrain of Hanamura, but also the ability to simply stagger and come back in, because it is somewhat defender favored when you get into point B.
It's traditionally always the Assault maps as well that you do see these mix-up in compositions. You know, in the past through Apex, we've seen Lunatic Heidi run things like triple support as well. You do see a lot of innovation coming out when it comes to the Assault maps, because there's a lot more strategic play when it comes to it.
And the other cool thing about Hanamura too, and we haven't seen it quite as often, but you think back to Contenders Season 0, what we saw there was teams being really aggressive at times on their first point defenses, where of course it was the Laserkin squad, now Cloud9, that put on an absolute gem of a Hanamura first point defense. So there are cool strategic possibilities on this map, and still something that has not necessarily been fully explored.
Yeah, plenty of strats to be played, and of course, might even see a bit of Sombra. In fact, I think it would be highly likely if we do Assault. This usually just comes hand in hand with Sombra gameplay, it seems more and more these days, as teams are really just discovering how well she can be run. But interesting to know here, ZP, with the compositions. We're seeing, again, very similar to the previous game, but with one mix-up. We're seeing Kalex, instead of playing the Lucio, he's now on the Ana. Now, what's your thought process behind this one? Is it because of the layout of the map, the way that you can abuse the high ground much more?
Well, if you're not going to be running the Lucio, it means that you're more willing to stand and fight. You're not going to be trying to be as adapting to the other team in terms of like big disengages or big engages. So even though they're running the Winston Diva, I feel like Singularity is going to be playing this more in terms of counter dive, because without the Lucio in on your team, it's difficult to really take the fight to the other side. So it'll be interesting to see how Singularity does this, but I would expect more counter engages than really full-on engages.
Well, we will soon find out indeed if that is the case. 1, 2, 3 are just looking for the opportunities now, just poking and prodding once again, and it's going to be trying to find an entry here into the left-hand side of the map. They might be able to get a kill onto Nerf. In fact, he does back away. The defense matrix is there from his ally there, Danny, to try and save him up. And with the timer ticking down, it's the long wraparound approach by 1, 2, 3. They want to be trying to basically assault the point from the high ground.
This is very similar to what you see on Volskaya, where teams will go, wrap around, heal up behind cover, and then come out from the upper high ground. And 1, 2, 3, that's what they're going for right now. Singularity simply bending back, but we see Mande under pressure here early on. However, this time it'll be Singularity that strikes first. Bach goes a little bit far out. Craggy is there for the punish. And now 1, 2, 3 is just getting mowed down from all directions.
Pretty standard stuff there. The initial pick coming out for them, and then they do just fall like dominoes. Fincy still decides to reset with the rest of his team as he just leaps away into the foresty meadows of Hanamura. But beyond that, any switches up, not quite. Still going to be keeping with the compositions, and Singularity now have built up a little bit of an ultimate advantage.
Well, this is very good for Singularity, because the odds are high that they'll have a Transcendence for this next fight, and it's also equally as bad for 1, 2, 3, where you don't want to get in the situation where you're getting staggered by Defender Ultimate. So for 1, 2, 3, they have a slight window here if they can somehow take down Lin before the Transcendence comes out, but they're taking it slow, which means that they are going to be rolling into that. It'll be interesting to see how 1, 2, 3 can deal with this.
Snillo is holding onto this pulse bomb as it stands, and he's just working his way around the map. But again, Singularity, as you mentioned, when you're not running the Lucio, they're playing a very staggered, a very sort of standard sort of formation, and Mande picking up that initial kill once again onto Snillo is going to be causing all sorts of problems for 1, 2, 3.
Singularity is just going to 1, 2, 3 and saying, hit me as hard as you can. And they're withstanding it right now, because 1, 2, 3, they tried to dive in, still was the first in and was just immediately punished. So the stand and fight defense of Singularity here so far has been working out for them. However, Finzi on the high ground here, finally they realize where he's at, and a little bit of pressure should be throwing him back. But Snillo able to get in and around. 1, 2, 3 is slowly breaking in.
Yeah, they're definitely trying it, but I don't know if I agree with them sticking in as long as they needed to then. Still, they're going to try and contest it. Denny using the sandbar to try and fight this one out, but also not being used here by Singularity just yet, waiting for it. The self-destruct will be used. Fincy also going to be trying to find whatever kill he possibly can, but again, Danny is a very meaty object for him to try and beat into the mech.
Snillo goes down early on Craggy, getting his counterpart here. This is big for Singularity if they try to come back in. But 1, 2, 3 with the dominant position on the point right now. The Primal Rage creating space, the Transcendence keeping her own alive, and now Singularity Singularity, this is their moment to strike, but they're down people, and the odds of them actually flipping this, not super great. They can buy themselves some time.
Now they're finally playing this in a different way, a different approach, so to speak. They're trying to basically rotate around to the other side of the high ground, and it's definitely working out for them this time. They are going to be able to cap up this first point. No surprises there, but it did take a bit of tries in the making.
Well, burning off 3 minutes off the clock, not bad for a first point defense. I'm not going to say that Singularity is in position to flip the course of this match right now, but they definitely look better than they did on either of the first 2 maps.
A little bit of a 1v1 being taken here between the 2 Tracer players, and still, again, you see 1-2-3 just taking the high ground as it stands. Nerfed is so weak, they could get an initial kill, but the burst healing is definitely there to keep him up, but still, now is the approach. They move on to the back. Bot picks up Craggy, and they're looking for more ZP.
This is actually very good for 1-2-3 as Stillo opens them up. Both supports going down from that late pulse bomb, and now 1-2-3 in a great position. They played it slow, but now they might get point B quicker than they got point A. Singularity is in a whole world of trouble right now.
And now they're going for the stalling comps as we see the Maze coming out to play. Let's see if they send out anything else whatsoever. Still contested, not quite got 2 ticks as it stands. Transcendence and Samba going to be stacked over one another from 1-2-3. And a bit of a mistake there, a bit of a mishap. And that could actually cost them here as Nerfed is trying to stagger this one out with the Primal Rage.
It very well could cost them as 1-2-3. They weren't able to maintain their position. Singularity coming out of spawn, but able to strike deeply. The Primal Rage opens the way, and 1-2-3 has to be happy with not 2 ticks, but only 1. They were so close to that second tick there, Bren.
What a misplay, though, from 1-2-3. That's very much unlike them from the games we've seen. They staggered up their support ults using the Transcendence and the Sound Barrier at the exact same time, which just meant they could have potentially stalled out that fight much longer, which could have been all they needed to flip it over to their favor.
And they might be regretting it, Bren, for a long time yet to come. It is difficult to get momentum here on point B and Hanamura. So Singularity might have just wrested control of this game back in their favor. 1-2-3, though, they're coming up the right side.
Pretty cool. Has a self-destruct available to him, but right now it's just going to be skillfully holding down his right mouse button as he just eats up all the bullets of the defense matrix, and let's soon see if they try to initiate in for the time being. Still, nicely down to Finzi across the map. He's just going to take a little nap while he's working the job, but 1-for-1 trades abound for both these teams, and they're looking for opportunities again.
Well, Finzi right now, he is well rested and he is ready to go. Takes down Nerfed on the dive, and he's going to have the visor up, and now everything is in his sights. Sleep does a boy well, as Finzi right now is in a great position for 1-2-3.
And they're not even going to get an opportunity to contest this. Potentially, maybe the Transcendence to boot back. Unreal performance there. Happy just saving his boost to try and get the ulting Zenyatta away from them, so they couldn't actually contest it. And 1-2-3 will end up taking the second point indeed. So now the points are going to be flipped here. Singularity now going to be trying their hands at attacking.
And really, when you think about how Hanamura usually plays out, 1-2-3 is in a very good position here, because it's not even guaranteed that you take point B, and having almost 3 minutes left in your bank is very good in terms of leaving options for another attack right after. So all the pressure now is on Singularity, as if it wasn't before, where they're already down 2 maps.
Absolutely, they do not want to be losing another map 2-1, 2-3, make things very difficult for them. Taking this one out as it stands now, compositions-wise, we're seeing a bit of early days once again, but it's looking very similar, still keeping to the double hit scan, the double dive sort of compositions, but again, it's the supports that are changing, and that's really been the tale of Overwatch these past few months. It's all about being the tanks and the supports.
No doubt about it. And you think about how the supports play out here. We've seen probably the most support diversity in this era of Overwatch than we've seen in any meta since, where 1-2-3, they're not actually going to be running the Zen here on the defense. They're going to be running the Ana, where the benefits are you get nano boost to take team fights over in a more aggressive way, and you get more healing throughput, but you lose the ability to mark people and, of course, put an orb on someone. So you have your upsides and downsides.
I'm actually a massive fan of running the Ana against this, especially because when you know they're going to be running a Zenyatta, your Bio Grenade can potentially completely counteract the Transcendence, stopping all healing. Bio Grenade is one of the most powerful abilities in the game when it's used in the right hands, and actually the way Hanamura's map design as well, there's a lot of choky areas where you can get massive Bio Grenades off onto multiple enemies.
Absolutely, where if you go in too clumped, the bio grenade can punish you. One thing that's really worth noting here too is that given the way that Contenders Season 1 works, this is do or die for Singularity. If they don't take Hanamura, they will be racking up a series loss, where even if they grab the 4th map, that would just be for tiebreakers. Yes. It would not count as any sort of overall series victory.
Absolutely well worth pointing out there. So all on the line here for Singularity to try and take this map away from 1-2-3. Trying a similar strategy, but again, you can see the Bio Grenade immediately coming out, and that delays the push, the inevitable push, however, I should say, as they are still going to be moving off the back of it.
And again, we see the power of this push here where you go to the right side, you heal up, and now you dive onto the point in full health. And Singularity, they're doing this very well here so far. They find Finzi early on, a 6v5 dominant performance, and it's going to be pushing 1-2-3 back. And 1-2-3, they don't have a response. They try to come back in, but it's nothing but failure right now.
Yeah, absolutely. The power of getting those initial picks cannot be understated. Happy gets DMX in the process, and this will be, without a question of doubt, will be the first point going to get capped up here by Singularity as it stands. But the question is now, as EP, how much momentum can they bring to this point B?
I'm glad you used the word momentum there because that is the word of the day. When you crush a team that hard on point A, oftentimes it can lead to your best point B attempt you will get all map long. 1-2-3 does not have much they can really rely on here for this defense. Baby still can build the pulse bomb and buy them some time, but short of that, this is a very nice opportunity here for Singularity, and now they're approaching. Craggy in from the top, the rest of the team right up the gut.
Important to note, there's not many ultimates, if any at all, actually on either side. They're close to building them up, but look at this, Craggy, beautiful tracking from him, picks up the kill there with a flick of the wrist, and he has the pulse bomb in hand to move, do the damage and do the work. Snylo though, he's got something to say about it. He's going to be picking up a few players, but these kills just flowing on either side, EP.
They're flowing on both sides, but Snillo might have taken the air out of the Singularity push. He did quite a bit of damage, and now the respawns from 1-2-3 are coming in. They haven't given up a tick yet, and now that first wave is about to hit the point, but Mende in the back says, I have you in your sights, able to take down 2, and this is now very good for Singularity as their respawns are coming back in.
Fantastic. Actually opting to use the nano boost there onto Snylo to try and counteract this, to try and do the damage, and he does bring down Nerfed in the end, puts in a lot of work as well. The follow-up buying enough time there. That's a wonderful bit of game sense there from Bok to try and use the nano boost to prolong it and give Snylo a bit of extra durability to prolong the points out and contest it.
Well, now 1-2-3, the danger is past. They did enough damage to Singularity on that last part of the fight, where in the end, the damage total is just 1 tick. So you compare both of these teams and their attacks, they both end up with a similar result off of their first attack.
Absolutely, yeah. Important to note as well, time-wise, it is going to be 5.5 minutes on the clock for Singularity to work with, but the disadvantage that they're currently facing is the fact that they don't have many ultimates to use. It's going to take some clever usage now to rotate the ultimates and bait them out of 1-2-3 if they want a chance of trying to take this CP.
And Singularity, no subtlety whatsoever. They dive directly in and they find Snillo early on. The best kill they could possibly hope for in the beginning. Now, a 6v5. They don't have to worry about Tracer in their back, and they are unchained. The Transcendence is out, but they're going to lose Nerf early on. 5-on-5 right now as the respawns come in, and 1-2-3 has weathered the storm.
Absolutely understandable there with the superior ult advantage they had, but that was really Singularity's game plan. They've got time to burn, you know, they don't have to worry about failed pushes. Oh, what a stall as well. Danny, oh, they're gonna body block him. Oh, this is so beautiful. He just can't do it. Oh, my goodness, the post in the back lines. That was very, very close there. That almost turned against 1-2-3. If that post bomb connected and they got a few kills, that would have been honestly the biggest slip-up I think I've ever seen.
That would have been the most hilarious slip-up we ever seen, where it's already funny to begin with, where you're trying to body block a diva with 5 people, but then those 5 people get blown up for engaging in that behavior. That would have been just absolutely phenomenal. But Bren, we are not so blessed. Instead, we see Singularity resetting and looking for a new way in to this 1-2-3 defense.
Oh, big rotations by Singularity. This time going to be speed boosting in for the left-hand side, keeping their supports onto the backlines along with a soldier to try and do some damage, but they are going to be jumped on. The pulse bomb is committed. Finzi using the tactical advisor to be on cleanup duty to a degree, and they are finding the frag. So again, another dead push for Singularity, but plenty more ults used as well by 1-2-3 as a result.
1-2-3, they did have to invest a bit into that defense, but as a defender, that's still not the worst case scenario, especially if you're not going up against a huge storm of ultimates from the other side. Singularity, though, they have the Primal Rage, which they can use to create some chaos. The trouble for them is that we are in Assault. They need to have a near flawless take, and it's still going to be very difficult for them to do this with what they have available.
If Singularity now get an initial pick-off with no ultimates on the side of 1-2-3, this could actually be their point to win. And the fact that they've got a Primal Rage, the Post Bomb, and the Self-Destruct to boot means this is potentially going to be one of the last fights if Singularity play it correctly. They're trying to get this initial pick, as I mentioned. If they can find it, Post Bomb onto Finzi, collects it, and this sets it up, CP.
This is really good here for Singularity, but they lost Lind in the game. This means that they don't have the healing to really sustain this fight as much as they'd like. They have to strike now. But what do we see in the backline? It's Snillo. He got down their other support. There is no more healing for Singularity. There is no way they can sustain on this point, and they will not be getting another tick here.
It's a worthwhile effort, but now all that's left Singularity with is an ult disadvantage. That's all they've just done from losing that initial engagement. That was one of their best chances of trying to take that point B. But as a result, they've got nothing to work with now, and it's the table has turned. 1, 2, 3 have the nano boost. They've got the sound barrier. They've got the promo rate. Almost 6 ults online almost.
The interesting thing about the last fight, just to what you were mentioning, is that it's a tale of two tracers right now, where Craggy was able to get that early pickoff, but Snillo did the same in turn. So now you look at 1, 2, 3, they're loaded for bear, and Singularity is going to be running into a blender, a brick wall. Take whatever thing you want to say they're running into. Either way, it's going to be difficult for them to get through.
Oh, look at this. Aggression coming out from Tonic. He wants to try and get the kill, and there's no peel for Lin. They bring him down. All he got to do is go run him down with the Tesla cannon. He finds the picks that he's looking for. Mande is next on the menu, bringing him down. Singularity not standing a chance at this fight. Trying to force out ults, but again, just holding on to them. 1, 2, 3 do not need to use them off very lightly at all, to be honest. And it is Singularity now on the back foot. They've got to try and take this one. Otherwise, this set is going to be pretty bad for them. They need this win, TP. They need it.
Well, they need this win if they want to potentially take this series and get a point on the board. Otherwise, again, they're just playing for tiebreakers. Now you look at Singularity going into this. This will be their last good attempt. They do have 2 support ultimates on deck. But if they lose anyone before those ults go off, it's not going to be very good for them. But now they move in. The beat is dropped, and Mande, let's see what he can do.
I don't know if I agree with the early soundbite, but they needed it to get onto the point. As a result, Fincy can just wait it out, and he pops off the tactical visor at the perfect time. They're finding the damage definitely is being done to them, and Mande, there's no peel for him right now. Self-destruct by Happy Call is perched right on that high ledge. Not going to be finding the kills, but forces the positionings. And regardless of that, Singularity, another lost fight, and a minute on the clock.
Yes, he made it. I didn't even want to say that. There was just like
dramatic
there was tension there. It's just, is this going to work? And,
if he missed it, that would have been, again, another fantastic clip for competitive Overwatch.
But do you love the setup there, though, where he just carefully takes his time, knocks down the railing? Yeah, no, you don't want to mess up, especially when the camera's on.
Yeah.
It would be bad.
Absolutely. Well, ults, again, we keep mentioning the ults, but that is the tale of this game, at least for Assault, and it is relatively even here. ZP, if there was ever a chance for them to now take this next round, it is now do or die time, quite literally for Singularity with 30 seconds on the board.
And they have to do it before the timer hits 0, so they don't have much time on their side. Mande, under pressure. He cannot fall here, or it's going to be bad news for Singularity. But what do we see here but Snillo into the back line, creating the space for the front line to come in from the front. Absolute devastation for 1, 2, 3, and Singularity, their chances are going away.
Absolutely. Only 15 seconds remaining. They might be able to get, just a trickle of players onto the point, but all in all, this has been an absolutely fantastic defensive effort from 1, 2, 3. Beautiful ult management as well to try and basically avoid them from taking that. And they are going to get one final push. The speed boost through the main area. Mande trying to go for the high ground now. The overtime will tick over ZP.
And now Singularity, they're just playing for the tie here on this map. But 1, 2, 3, they don't care. They drop the sound barrier. They don't want to give up anything whatsoever. Why go to extra rounds when you can end this right now? And even though Mande, in over the top, has the visor, he does not have the team support anymore, and Finzy will simply gun him down. 1, 2, 3, taking map number 3 and winning the series.
Absolutely, they have won the series now, and again, this final map, it is going to be played to the map of the 4 sets, at least, I should say, the 4 maps in this one set, and they are going to be playing for the tiebreaker, so still, there's a bit of on the line, Singularity, they need to be winning this next map, and it could actually potentially affect playoffs in the future, but that is the question now. They have basically 1, 2, 3 secured their win in this initial week number 1.
And the key here is for Singularity, as we look forward towards the 4th map, will be, can they just improve for themselves at this point, as well as getting something on the board for tiebreakers. But 1, 2, 3, they've shocked them here early on, where we didn't quite know how 1, 2, 3 would be coming into this, whether or not the replacements would live up to the previous members of the team. But thus far, Snillo has been great in his replacement for mistakes. And 1, 2, 3, they've played very well coordinated relative to Singularity.
The team seems to have gelled incredibly well in the short time they have had together, to be honest. With mistakes leaving, I believe, a week in advance before Contenders, this team has not had the time to really sort of collect their losses and sort of try and build around this new roster they've got, which is why it's so much more impressive for them to be performing so well as they have.
It has, and again, Contenders, this is a tournament where we see big stories happen. We saw it yesterday where we saw huge upsets early on, and now this is appearing like it could be a new story where how much can this 1, 2, 3 team show us, because we weren't sure in the beginning.
Absolutely.
But now they are looking rather good.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, coming into this, they were second again in the Contenders Season 0. It's worth mentioning, so they are going to be trying to go for that number 1 spot again that they missed out on last time. But this squad is looking very strong, and I think they are a contender, I guess, with Misfits. The way Misfits were performing the other day, it's definitely these two teams matching up up against one another, and that's going to be a very good matchup in the future weeks.
So now, of course, that is the Dorado music that you hear in the background. Good scenic Dorado. But what do you think we can expect here from Singularity? Is this a time where you mix things up, or do you just try and clean up your own house and play better with what you know?
I mean, you can try new things. Singularity are a team that like to experiment every now and then, I suppose, but it's a hard one. I mean, because this map still does matter to them, but not as much, obviously. The tiebreakers are going to be important when it comes to when we start calculating who's going to be available for playoffs. So Singularity are probably going to be still taking this relatively seriously, but really it's the 1, 2, 3 are going to be the team that aren't going to be really probably running some more experimental things, maybe things they're not really too comfortable on. Early on, right now, they may still change it out, but it's looking like a triple DPS composition by 1, 2, 3, which is something that they only pulled out in sort of specific scenarios. We saw in the Eichenwald Streets phase, for one. The fact that they might try to run it in unfamiliar scenarios as an advantage, just a bit of practice, essentially.
And the cool thing here for 1, 2, 3 is that they can play a little bit looser with this, where yes, there's tiebreaker implications, but if you did want to see, all right, can we play well at this? This would be a good training ground here, where you know Singularity is going to be playing their hardest just to at least get one map on the board. But for 1, 2, 3, this is where you can experiment a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see making a few switches in the spawn as it stands. I don't know if Fincy will be sticking to the McCree. Probably going to be switching to the Soldier, if anything, as that is what they're most comfortable with. Singularity opting for no Lucio once again. This time, Kellex is still on the Ana, so superior heals. And they might be opting for a very aggressive forward hold.
All right, well, 1, 2, 3, they are coming out here rather early, and you have to think with what they're running here, they are going to be getting the Singularity's face rather quickly indeed. You have the Lucio back on the payload, half cool right now, looking for his opportunities, getting supported by his Zen. And 1, 2, 3 right now, they are under pressure early on from Singularity. Singularity does not want to give up much for free, but Lin has to back out.
He does indeed. He's looking for the opportunities, and Singularity are finding all the kills to really speak of, to be honest, and Fincy falling in very low. Havoc trying to get aggressive here. That's the trouble when you're running the triple DPS sort of composition, is that you lack a lot of the damage mitigation. The defense matrix isn't available for you because you're not running the Diva.
There's no one there to save you from the Helix rocket crunching into your face.
Yes.
What you're telling me there, Bren.
Exactly, yeah. I imagine that would hurt, even if it didn't detonate, to be honest. You've seen how fast that thing moves.
It goes really quickly, so at the very least it would give you a concussion, but then it blows you up on top of it. Just pretty brutal stuff.
Probably should do more damage than it actually does. 100 damage. Yep. Get on that, Jeff, by the way. Yeah.
Just have it one shot.
I'm available for the balance team if you need me.
Oh my goodness. Well, Singularity right now, much better defense so far. Finzy turns the corner, gets Zenyatta orbs right to the face. 1, 2, 3, desperately looking for a way in right now. They still have 3 minutes, so it's not the worst. And now Snillo, room to work with into the backline. Drops a pulse bomb, doesn't connect. But while this is going on, the pressure from the flankers is letting 1, 2, 3 move this payload forward.
There's a cute little effort there by Singularity to try and defend it where they could, but they have stalled it a decent way. But the way this payload was moving while they were fighting, I don't know if they're going to get a second chance to stall this one out. Depends if anybody is there. And looking at the positioning right now of Singularity, it looks like they're just setting up for the second defense.
I was going to say, Bren, do you know who my favorite race car is? Because I was expecting Lin to perhaps zoom right out, and yeah, that entire setup was ruined. Instead, Singularity, as you mentioned, they will be going for the better setup here in second, which has its pros and cons, but they certainly have the tools they need to take this first Streets phase fight. Except when that happens, when even though you have ultimates, they use Kellex.
Yeah, the initial picks are often sometimes more important than the actual ult advantages themselves. Obviously, you can turn the fights in your favor with ultimates, but sometimes you just don't really want to play them off. And with that first initial pick, it means that Singularity aren't really in a position to defend, and as a result, the cart can get a bit of free time being pushed in. And look at this 1v1 battle that's still kicking off. Snillo just trying to fight it off at the back of it. Craggy just trying to contest with him, and he is basically taking one player away from them as they're trying to focus him down.
And Tonic right now, just able to create space. Lots of cleave damage coming in from the Tesla cannon, which hits multiple targets. And now you see Mande coming back in. Has the tac visor up, takes down Denia early on. And Singularity, their defense, investing a lot of ultimates into this fight, but perhaps finally getting some badly needed stabilization. And yet, 1, 2, 3, they can still come back in here.
They are going to be going for it. I was looking at it, it was a bit odd, but they make the decision to do it anyway. Dragon Blade by Happycool follows it up, supported by the Transcendence. I mean, this is definitely a 1-5 for them.
Bren, if you were a wealthy man and you had 6 ultimates, you had all the wealth available to you, is that the product you would purchase if you were Singularity?
Again, yeah, that's a fight that on paper it looks good. They're pushing the cart in, they want it, but now it gives Singularity a time to recoup and actually push in as 6 again, because they're not going to get a chance to try and defend this one again. And now 1, 2, 3 actually have a lack of ultimates to try and make something happen.
Well, 1, 2, 3, they might have a lack of ultimates, so still Singularity, and they are fighting them back and forth right now. They might lose Happy early on, but with Lin being down, 1, 2, 3's gonna have more survivability here. They drop the sound barrier, and they go right in. Snillo, still absolutely nothing really checking him here, doing whatever he wants into the back line. And Singularity right now, they are coming in piecemeal, and 1, 2, 3 is feasting.
I mean, let's be honest, who needs ultimates when you have Snillo? The guy just completely owns time and time again, turning situations around for his team. Seemingly, all it takes is a pulse bomb, and he's turned the fight into their favor. And that's really a beautiful story, I guess, for Contenders, the European side of it in general, because we've actually been blessed with so many good Tracer players in Europe, in a particular region, but also in NA.
So 1, 2, 3 right now, taking it slow. Interestingly enough, Singularity has actually done a really good job of delaying this out. It's been almost a minute where Singularity has been dying by the dozens and yet keeping the pressure on his Finzi, getting rocked, getting thrown to the back, and he's going to be taking... No, he actually survived. He somehow survived that pressure, but not for long. Nerf finally chases it down. Meanwhile, on the point, Singularity is able to stabilize. They're able to deal with this pressure from 1, 2, 3 miraculously, I would say.
They used the Transcendence to try and stall that one out, and Stylo, he bought a bit of time for his team there, but all he was delaying the inevitable. Right now, 1, 2, 3, they need to be regrouping. The question is, how do they take this next fight? I'd like to see Finzi moving onto the high ground in particular. It seems that they're actually opting to move Finzi, I believe, onto the left low. Oh, no, they are moving to the high ground. The entirety of 1, 2, 3 now are going to be looking to take the high ground. So again, another option for them, take it with the superior positioning as opposed to the ultimates and try and basically outmaneuver them with their mechanical skill. What a bio grenade, though.
Ooh, it's a nice bio grenade early on. It's certainly going to give 1, 2, 3 a bit of pause, but the bio grenade is faded, and now 1, 2, 3 is heading in. And this is a full reset for them. More than what they had before, but Craggy opening it up, finds Finzi, but Happy cool into the side, diving right in, picks up 2. There's been back and forth between both of these teams. 1, 2, 3 certainly on the winning edge right now. The payload only needs to go a little bit further.
Absolutely. Danny's just buying as much time as he possibly can. Happy cool. Ooh, I thought he was about to lose that 1v1, and that would have been a meme in itself, but no, he does end up coming out on top of it. As it stands, Danny's still trying to hold on to it. Nanoboost will be used by the side of Singularity alongside their own attack. It's going to be the sound barrier by 1, 2, 3. Mandy! Goodness me, man. Just trying to run down the enemy teams with that Nanoboost just stuck inside of him, but goodness me, Danny will be falling. The cart should move forward to that promo range, buying them space CP. It will be. The second checkpoint is theirs.
Snillo finally replacing the tires on that payload, getting rid of the last few obstructions and moving it forward. 2 minutes and 15 seconds left now for 1, 2, 3. They did get gummed up a bit there on the end of second, but now we'll see if they have a strategy in mind to get through third rather quickly.
Here we have it. Happy cool just teasing with them as it stands, and the Ultimates are telling a bit of pretty dire picture right now for both these teams. Not much on either side of them. Support ult-wise, I guess Singularity are ahead. Only about 15% away from their own Transcendence, so they got that going for them with this defense. But Cart is moving forward at a steady rate, and it is, again, as we're pretty much accustomed to these days, it's a slow siege as the teams try and take it in.
And Snillo right now is getting to work once more, taking down the front tank line of Singularity, and is hungry, bloodthirsty, finds Mendez, and is going to the back. Lind, you are not safe. Kellex, you certainly aren't safe, as Snillo continues the pressure to the back, and that's going to let 1, 2, 3 push us up from the front.
Just the mere presence of him on the support's back lines means they have to return and have to retreat back to their base because, you know, Zen has the ooh, okay, Mandy brings him down, a couple of headshots onto Snarler there. Might actually turn this one around for him, but Happy does have the Dragon Blade. Are they going to look to commit it?
I don't think they necessarily need to right now. Snillo's going to be back quickly. He is a Tracer after all.
True.
This is round 2, 3. They can take a little bit of a breather, wait for their opportunity, and go in and have one really good final attack.
Stands, this looks like they're going in Tonic. I don't know if I agree with that, mate. Just trying to feed onto the payload a little bit. See if he can take the 1v6, but doesn't quite work out in his favor now.
Tonic, he just didn't get the memo there. It's one of those things where you're not invited to a party. It's just like, we're all going to regroup. Except you, Tonic. You can just go die in the payload. It's fine.
Now, well, they are going to be grouped up for 6 as it stands. Ultimates built up on either side. They've got a whole slew of ultimates to work with, including defensive ults apiece. This is going to be the final fight, though. It needs to be said. 1, 2, 3. Going to be trying to push us into the final checkpoint. Are they going to be claiming this final map CP? We're finding out here and now.
1, 2, 3 looking for their opportunity. They have big support ultimates and big DPS ultimates. They could not be more loaded for battle right now, but they're taking their time. They're setting the stage, and they're looking for their opportunity. They are more than content to finish this out in overtime because that is where this is going to go. Only 5 seconds remaining, and 1, 2, 3. At some point, Bren, they have to pull the trigger. There's the barrier, and half the cool's going in.
He's looking for the opportunities. Again, the defensive support op's being used. And again, the Dragon Blade not unleashed by Happy just yet. He wants to prolong it out, but the overtime is ticking and it is burning. Now Happy tries to get some swipes on. He does bring down Mande. That was still not popping off the tactical advice, so he has it. If they can prolong this fight, it will be beautiful for them. Still, South-Destruct now will be forcing the positionings out from the overtime. Again, just burning down through Chris. 1, 2, 3, getting the picks where it counts. Danny, though, finding the kill on the bot. Here's EP.
And this is very close, but pretty decent for Singularity here so far. If they get 1 or 2 more kills, 1, 2, 3 is getting the difficulty, maintain momentum, but Tonic laying down the law, the Primal Rage in and over, pushing Singularity out. That's exactly 1, 2, 3 needed here. Now it's Singularity on the losing edge. You see that they have a Winston and Lucio still up, and it's going to be up to Nerf now to buy some time for the rest of Singularity to get back in here. That Primal Rage, though, very good at buying time, and this is big for Singularity, as you see. Respawn after respawn, they're about to come back in.
As you mentioned, yeah, it's the danger zone here right now for 1, 2, 3, as the respawn advantage is definitely in the favor of Singularity. Still looking for the kills. Fincy does collect one with the Helix Rocks. Now you notice Bok, he switched to the Sombra. Is a last-minute attempt with the movement, I should say, to try and find his way into this final point here, ZP.
And so far, Singularity is coming up with nothing. Unable to get even a single kill here on the 1, 2, 3 in this last few moments. 1, 2, 3 cleaning up player after player. Snillo in a great positioning, just taking down anyone who dares touch his payload. 1, 2, 3, they're gonna slam this one right in.
That is actually very surprising, given that Singularity had the spawn advantage in that initial fight. That's really strange to me that they couldn't actually clinch that one out, especially in the final moments. Nerf was on them with a Primal Rage, and they still actually couldn't find the fact that they couldn't really just dive onto the point. You know, a big part of that was Bok switching to the Sombra in the final moments, got to the last point much, much quicker than if he just stayed on the Zenyatta, and actually was having quite a big impact in hacking up various enemies.
He was, and one thing that I think is very interesting here with 1, 2, 3 is the part where they flew through first and they flew through most of second. I think they got caught into a rather common trap on the last part of second where it was a winning fight in a sense, but they weren't taking down everyone. And Singularity, they were more than willing to just sort of slog it out on the payload for a long time there because it's not getting to the point. You're buying plenty of time. And it was only when 1, 2, 3 said, all right, enough of this, and went for the full reset that they were actually able to punch that one in.
Here we have it. You can see the compositions on your screen as it stands, and it's going to be, once again, the sides are changing. It's 1, 2, 3 with the defensive. Right now, Singularity want to be going for the attack. And the Ana are going to be ran here, not alongside the Zenyatta, however, this time they are going to be using the Lucio.
So a bit of compositional change-ups here, but something that's also worth noting is that if you are a fan of puppies, if you're a fan of puppies that have explosive weaponry, Bazooka Puppy is going to be playing right after the set, taking on Gamers Origin, one of the longer-known teams in the EU region. So lots of good Overwatch still left here today.
And one of the bad things about Cloud9 picking up Laser Kittens is now Bazooka Puppies are just all alone. They're the only animal-based team, really, aren't they, now these days? I guess Misfits as well, but they're not exactly called the Misfits Bunny Rabbits. It's like...
The Misfits 90s cartoon characters, I mean, that would be a little bit more accurate.
But Bazooka Puppies alone as the only sort of animal-based team name in this day and age, but maybe we might see some changes up soon, who knows. But Singularity now going to be rolling out, seeing if they can look for a kill or two. So Mendez just getting the switch strikes off, seeing if he can hunt for the damage, and initial DMAC coming out almost immediately, and this should stunt the push as it stands.
Snillo really just not waiting at all, immediately feasting on Danny in the beginning of the setup here. And 1, 2, 3's defense, to say this is aggressive would be an understatement, as Mendez just getting cut down in style from Half-a-Cool, of course, aided by Bok in that kill. Singularity already off to a bit of a tough start.
Yeah, they're going to be pushing this cart in as much as they possibly can. 1, 2, 3 still going for the aggressive. Look at this, into the back lines. You see, it's going to be Tonic trying to basically take down these supporters. He has jumped onto them. Half-a-Cool supporting it as well. They're not quite finding the damage. Half-a-Cool might be in a bit of trouble, getting ran down by the Tesla Cannon. Should fall. Just doesn't even need the Tesla Cannon. Just needs his own big monkey fist to try and punch him down there.
I think Genji should get better armor plating on his face, is what I'm going to say there. If just getting punched will do that much, it's not really good armor protection. As Singularity, they deal with the early pressure rather well. In the beginning, it was tough, but 1, 2, 3 overextended. They overplayed their hand, and Singularity was able to punish them. So now, Singularity is making up for lost time, and they're going to get the payload right into the core zone.
DBR still This will be a contestation coming out most likely by 1, 2, 3. Indeed, they're getting into position. They want it ready and waiting. Ultimates online for them, including the Nanoboost. They could come in with the Nanovisor here. Pulse Bomb is not going to connect from Snillo. He's looking for the targets. Now it's going to be the Nanoboost. Not using any ultimates alongside it, I believe, as they didn't actually quite get the value they were looking for, but the trades are equal. It's going to be the Soundbar as well. Singularity trying to basically prevail in this fight.
It's a late Soundbar. It's trying to compensate for the early pickups, but it might just work Monday with the blade into the back. Finds Bach and is looking for more. This is when you need to clean out a payload when you want to go fast. And Singularity, they have done just that. Tonic, just a little bit late to the party, so he's going to be taken out, and Singularity will begin their approach in the second.
Not a terrible trade there for 1, 2, 3, I will say. They sacrificed the Hafikul's Dragon Blade, and they managed to get a sound barrier and their own Dragon Blade out of Singularity, so now there's 2 ultimates for 1. Definitely not a bad trade in the midst of it, but as this cart gets pushed in now, 1, 2, 3 will be looking for the positioning to try and defend this one, possibly on the high ground. As you can see, they're all starting to rotate now.
And Donnie right now, one of the things he has to think about is that, does he use the self-destruct here offensively in the beginning to create a little bit of chaos for his team, or do you save it for later in the fight? 1, 2, 3, they're just going to get on the high ground right now for this approach. Just poking down Singularity, but Singularity, they're going to take the fight to them as 1, 2, 3 comes with the sound barrier.
Sound barrier used, as you mentioned. They're trying to basically prevail over it now. Tonic, let's get the initial kill there onto Lind, which will be pretty good for them. No more Discord orbs, no more healing, which means this should be pretty much a one-fight Mandy there, getting caught between a rock and a very much a hard place, as he will fall in the end between the midst of 1, 2, 3's own bodies. But right now, Singularity, they can just regroup this one up now. They didn't actually sacrifice any ultimates. I think Danny used his self-destruct, but other than that, they're pretty much golden when it comes to the ults.
So for Singularity, this is really make or break from here, where if they're able to get through second on this next push, they will be saying a quicker time for 1, 2, 3, and this map very well can still be in contest. If they lose this next fight with double support ultimates up, the situation is considerably less rosy. So this is a fight Singularity has an advantage in. We'll see if they can capitalize, as Tonic is going to leap in and use the Primal Rage.
Transcendence, I believe not. Yeah, it was in fact used there by Lin, trading out quite evenly as well. These teams are looking for the fight. Hafikul will end up being fell in the end with the Tesla cannon being brought down onto him. Still an equal trade. Singularity trying to basically push them out with their own ults.
The interesting thing here is that even when Singularity is layering support ultimates, they're still losing people. The amount of times that they've dropped the sound barrier and having it only hit 3 to 4 people is probably above what you should be looking for using barrier. They're still going to get through here early on. It's a little bit messier than it should have been, but the issue is because it wasn't clean, 1, 2, 3 is going to have a great opportunity to come back out here with the blade, with the pulse bomb, and now it's going to be Snillo to stall that payload out.
Pulse bomb initially, Craggy going to be connecting the kill onto Tonic. That's pretty big for them. No more main tank here for their side. They pick up the following frags, and these ultimates being used by 1, 2, 3. Not great at all. Kellex getting the boop off to try and push Hafikul off of him. They're not getting absolutely anything. The ults were wasted here by 1, 2, 3, and Singularity are pushing this in for the finale.
Kellex just treated Hafikul like a bull, and he was a matador. That was ridiculous. Hafikul dashed way away from him, and then when he uses his next dash to come back in, he gets booped away. Hafikul is able to get nothing off of that Dragon Blade, and that meant that Singularity was able to stand the 1, 2, 3 surge, and now with a minute 20 left, they have a great opportunity to put Dorado in their favor.
Bit of a bad call there in that previous engagement by 1, 2, 3, but now they've got to look ahead. How are they going to be able to defend this one from Singularity? They've got 3 minutes on the clock to be working off. Mandy looking for the kill, trying to collect it onto Buck. He gets the reflect onto him. Is the damage there? The peel is definitely there for their team as they claim the kills in the back line in the meantime.
And we do have a swap here from 1, 2, 3. They're coming in with Hafikul onto the Diva. And this is where the last point, Dorado, can get a little bit more in your face, a little bit more clumped up. And what's better to have to protect your team than defensive Matrix in this situation? So right now you're seeing Craggy trying to do a little bit of disruption, but this isn't an ideal situation where it's 1 versus 5. But hey, he got the Diva.
He did. Still plenty of time on the clock here for Singularity to try and push this one in. 2.5 minutes as it stands, and I mean, the only real downside there, Danny is desuited, but he will be getting his mech pretty shortly. Hafikul falls quite late into the fight. That could be important, because that might be the thing they need to go in.
Well, he made a decision there. He wanted to give up his life rather than resetting his ultimate percentage. That was intentional by Hafikul, but it does create a window right now for Singularity, where now they move in and get cut down just as quickly. They didn't even need Hafi in this fight to take down the front tank of Nerf and then just roll back in.
Just flying monkeys all over the place right now. Diva's just using their jetpacks to get all around the map. And 1, 2, 3, eat my dust indeed, Craggy. Mate, your team, you are on the back foot. You do realize this. You got to regroup now. Re-push it as 6, mate. Let's go. They do have the ultimates to work off the back of it though. Transcendence on Lin, so they are going to be having to sustain to push their way through this next engagement. But they aren't going to be met with, again, Finces has his tactical visor, Denia with his sound barrier.
And now we see Craggy going into that secret agent role once more. Coming in over the top. Did the Pulse Bomb connect? No, the Pulse Bomb does not connect from Craggy. Now, he's going to have to play this more by the book. 1, 2, 3, more than content to just hold their high ground and tell Singularity you need to come to us. But Snilla going down, Singularity is going in.
The kill's definitely falling in their favor right now, contesting the point. Only a minute and 20 seconds on the clock, but the kills are definitely falling in favor for them. Still, Ultima's online for them as well. Fincy holding on to his tactical visor, doesn't quite want to use it just yet. Mandy on a mad one, actually destroying them right now with his tracking of the rifle, and it's really looking pretty good as it stands for Singularity to try and push this one in as the members of 1, 2, 3 are just feeding into them.
Singularity now has a great opportunity, perhaps the best they will get. A minute remaining now in the match. This is all about what sort of time advantage they could get over 1, 2, 3 if they finish it out. 1, 2, 3, the problem for them is if they get clumped up, you're going to see Nerf go in and use Primal Rage just to disrupt and really make things hard for them, as now you see Singularity attacking from both ends.
Nice peel there. Buck did not actually lose his life. Craigie was looking for it. The Transcendence is now going to be used here. 1, 2, 3 need to stall this one out. This is the final fight of the game. Singularity meeting it head on. Craigie tries to go for the 1v1, but the Pulse Bomb will not quite connect, and still looking further forward for the kills. In the end, it's trading out once again evenly. Mandy with a tactical visor might just be the nail in the coffin. One last ditch effort here from Happy as he sends the self-destruct up, but not finding the connections.
And now we're in the case here. Can Singularity clean up the rest of 1, 2, 3? 1, 2, 3 is trying to delay this out as much as possible, and they are. Tonic with the beast, the Primal Rage, creating room. Now Singularity, they're falling over and over again. They no longer have the numbers to stay on the cart, and that might be it. 5 seconds remaining, and 1, 2, 3 has handled their business. The payload is secure, and they're going to take map number 4.
Wow, that was looking pretty close for a second, and Singularity definitely had the ball in their court. They could have made some plays towards the tail end of that. If Craggy maybe just hit one of those pulse bombs, you can't really pin the defeat of a team on just one singular player, of course, because Craggy did actually play quite exceptionally well compared to the rest of Singularity, I believe. But all in all, some more for Overwatch.
There's a bit of 4 Overwatch coming in, but 1, 2, 3 showing that they have rebuilt. And even though they might have lost a few notable players, that they could still come back strong. And it was a good showing from 1, 2, 3 here overall.
Yeah, they've definitely shown themselves to be a team capable of reaching the playoff spots now. There was a lot of question marks, as we've already mentioned, throughout this game as to how they were actually going to be performing in the midst of all these basically contenders. You know, it is a lot of good teams in this tournament. We weren't actually sure where they were going to be placed. But here and now, with that performance against Singularity, I think they've definitely cemented themselves as one of the teams that's potentially going to be making into the playoffs. And
conversely, for Singularity, a team that people thought might be coming in somewhat strong, they have some soul searching to do, where if you open up the series as, well, 0-4, no maps won, that's just where you need to go back to the drawing board, maybe look at the current meta, go, maybe we should use that Doomfist guy. Either way, they have some work to do.
I think a lot of the biggest problem really there was, I think, the lack of Diva players. A lot of misplays there from the Diva on the side of Singularity, not really appealing as much or as well as Happy Cool potentially was. But as we said, yeah, we're going to be heading straight back to the desk to hear the analysis from them.